Welcome to a new series on the channel here. Technically a new series, but really just a continuation of the Washington Nationals universe as we leave DC as general manager and now take over as general manager, or I guess we're more like the president of baseball operations here in Salt Lake City, Utah, taking over the Salt Lake Gulls. That is the West Coast team that is being added here in my realignment, and that's the team we're going to be taking over simply because they have the coolest colors of the two teams that I made, while the other one is the Nashville Stars. They came out with this concept logo. It looks like they're going to be black and white, so I just kind of threw something together really quick in Photoshop and in a jersey editor that I have, and we just take a look at the team here. You can see there's their logo, black and white. I don't know what happened with the text here. I'm going to go over that before the season starts, as well as their undershirt. I forgot to change that to black, but this will all be looking a little bit better by the time the season rolls around. And then as far as what our team, the Salt Lake Gulls, look like, if we take a look at our team colors here, we are orange and aqua, the Gulls, looking pretty snazzy, if I do say so myself. Those are our homes. Our aways have aqua tops, Salt Lake across the chest, and then our alternates are orange tops. And I forgot to change the color. I do still need to take a look at ballpark factors here, because you could just go in and edit these and change them to be whatever the hell you want them to be. It doesn't really matter, aside from just the numbers, the location and whatnot. Doesn't really. It's all just numbers based. It's all this. Even these don't matter at all. It's all just these numbers that only matter. So we could go in here and edit these things. I am going to, at some point, go in here, probably change these to be similar to what the Colorado Rockies are, because I just think that it makes sense for the Utah ballpark to be similar to what the Rockies have in their ballpark. You know, like if we just take a look real quick, this is what ours is by default without me changing anything. And then the Colorado Rockies, you know, lots more ones. So we're probably going to be something around this, maybe like a little bit less. We'll probably do like, instead of this, we'll do like a 1.05 and like a 1.06 and a 1.05 and just something like that. And just trying to be like the Rockies, because Salt Lake City, elevation is pretty high. You know, it's going to be similar to what the Rockies have to deal with, so we want to be able to have that sort of challenge in this game with our Salt Lake Gulls. The other thing to know about is that we are a small market size, so we are never going to be a team that is spending a ton of money in this universe. We are here to pinch pennies, and we are here to build a team on a budget. Our loyalty is poor, but our interest is 100%. So we're an expansion team. We got to build this stuff up over the years, and obviously we're probably not going to be winning very much for quite a while here. Also, our owner is German for some reason, but he is lenient, controlling, hands-off involvement, and he prioritizes profit over winning. Now, the priority doesn't really matter because we have the owner goals turned off. He's not going to fire us. Involvement, I just don't want him getting involved. This, I did edit this, all out there. Just want to say, I did edit this, but I edited it because all of these were as good as you could possibly get. It was like outstanding patience, priority was winning, involvement, absolute max hands off. His fiscal personality was like very generous. And I just didn't think that made sense for a modern day owner. And I just don't want to play with a guy like that anyways. So I felt like, let's make him a bit more controlling, a bit more profit-oriented, like a modern-day owner would be. And then over with Nashville, if you take a look at their owner, he's just, I did not edit this at all. It does make sense for us to have a Smith rather than them, but, you know, whatever. It just generates the names. All green. I'm fine with that. We'll keep that for Nashville. And then their market size is a bit better than ours. They're an average market size. They're currently the 19th highest budget in Major League Baseball. So they've already got a decent head start on us with the owner draw. And obviously we, you know, with the actual RNG generation of our guy was better than theirs, but I decided to make it a bit harder on myself because I just didn't want to have a guy who was going to be like, here, have all the money that you want. Just have it. So it just makes it a bit harder, and that's what we're looking for here with an expansion team anyways. And now as far as the alignment of the league looks like now, I haven't gone through and done the playoffs yet, or regenerated the schedule ever, because it's just the offseason just started, and obviously it's going to mess with the awards given out or whatever. But I don't really care too much. That happens every time I do the realignment. But as you can see right here, this is what we are going to be rocking with the leagues. There are now 4 divisions in each league rather than 3. Each division has 4 teams. So over in the American League, you've got the East as the Blue Jays, the Orioles, the Red Sox, and the Yankees. And then in the North, this is all listed by the records, so it's not going to be alphabetical like it normally would be. But in the North, Chicago, the White Sox, the Tigers, the Guardians, and the Twins. That's going to be the North Division. You have the West Division, which is where we are, along with the Athletics, the Angels, and the Mariners. And then you have the Central Division, which I kept the name because it made more sense than to have just an aligned South and South, because some of these teams are South, Rangers, Astros. You could be like, yeah, it makes sense that they're in the South, but it didn't make sense for me to put the Rockies in the quote-unquote South Division, so I just named it Central. So it's Astros, Royals, Rockies, and Rangers. The Rockies moved to the American League, and then over in the National League, you have the East Division, which is the Mets, the Phillies, the Pirates, and the Nationals. And then in the North Division, you have the Cardinals, the Reds, the Brewers, and the Cubs. The West, you've got Padres, Giants, Dodgers, D-backs. And then over in the South Division, you've got the Marlins, the Braves, the Rays move over to the National League, and then the Nashville Stars are your expansion team in the South Division. I'm not quite 100% sure how the playoffs are going to shake out with this current alignment, but we are going to figure that out as we go here, as we're going to edit that, and when I do, I will show you what it looks like. All right, so we've done it. We've gone ahead. This is what the playoff system is going to look like. So since we have 4 divisions, we're keeping the same amount of teams to make the playoffs, and there is going to be a wild card round, but we're changing a little bit the format. So it is going to be the usual system that we have been doing the past couple of years with the expansion teams. When we realign the league, if you've watched the past few years of my OTP series, except it's a bit of different alignment this year, where instead of 2 big divisions in each league, there's 4 small divisions. So what you have is the best 2 division winners will have a bye in each league. So the AL1 seed will get a bye, the AL2 seed will get a bye, same with the National League. And then you'll have the next 2 division winners are wildcard teams. They will be hosting their best-of-5 wildcard series against 2 wildcard teams. So rather than that's usual, in real life, you have the best 2 division winners are the host teams, or the move things on as they get the bye the first round. And then you have the 3rd division winner, and then 3 wild cards. So this, you just take away one of the wild cards, you add a division winner. It's simple stuff, except now, rather than a best of 3, then a best of 5, then 2 best of 7s, what you have now is a best of 5 in the first round. The first 2 seeds get a bye, and then round 2 would be the division series. So you have the DS, the CS, and the World Series are all going to be best of 7 series. 2 home, 3 away, 2 home. That's the format for those. And then it's 2 home, 2 away, 1 home with an off day after the 2 home games for the best of 5 series. So that is what we're going to be rocking with here for ours. Usually, I would go reseed each prior, reorder by seed prior to each round. We're going to keep it fixed for now. We may change it to reorder after a few years of this system, but for now we're going to keep it fixed and see how that goes for us, as this is what the playoff system is going to be here from now on in Major League Baseball. And then as far as what the expansion draft is going to be looking like here, it's going to be Serpentine, so we'll have the first pick. I did not pick us as the first pick, but this is what it had it set, so it's going to be us and then them, and it's going to flip. So it's then going to be Stars, then Gulls, and then it'll be Gulls, Stars. So it's, you know what a Serpentine draft looks like. That's what it is. There's going to be 35 round. That's just the default. I did change these up. So this is usually default 25. I decided to make it 28 to make it a bit harder on myself, because they can protect their 26-man roster plus 2 guys on top of that. So 28, I think that's a fine number. And then this is usually 3 years default. I felt like that would be a little bit too easy, so I changed it to 4 years default, because I don't want to just be able to go in here and be like, oh, all these guys that are just stockpiled in the minors that these AI teams don't know how to evaluate, I can just come in here and just pluck these guys like nothing. I could definitely build a good team if you just had 3 years on here. So I changed it to 4, and then we're also limiting ourselves to 3 picked players per team. So this would make it to where we can only have 45 picks. We're not going to get 45 picks. There's only 35 rounds. But this is mainly so I can't just be like, oh, the Nationals have got to have a ton of guys not protected. Let me just go and take 8 guys from the Nationals here. So we're not going to do that. So we're limiting ourselves to 3 players per team. And that's what the draft is going to look like here for the expansion draft this offseason. It is scheduled for 11/25 here. It is currently October 31st. So we have about a month of preparation for that draft. And then the other thing that we need to do is we need to hire the staff of our entire organization. I could have checked on the ability to create custom coaches and have them fill in these spots, but I didn't want to do that. I wanted to go in and make sure that we hired the guys that I want to hire at every level. So that is what we are going to do. You can also see that I have named our minor league teams based on what they were giving us for the leagues. These are our minor league teams. Tucson, Mississippi, Boise Hawks, Modesto Nuts are back, and then we have an Arizona Complex League. We only have 1 rookie ball team right now. I think that's fine. Maybe if we get like 10 years into this and I feel like we have way too many rookie ball guys, then I'll add a Dominican League for both expansion teams. But for now, 1 rookie ball league is fine, considering we're going to have to fill in our entire team with mostly horrible free agents anyways. And nobody's going to really be down there doing anything anyways. So it's fine to keep it where it is right now. This is what our minor league system looks like. And then goal number 1 here with the staff is to bring in a scouting director. We need somebody who is going to be our very important person on our team here. We have a highly favors tool guy right here who is very intriguing, a legendary everything, even if he is highly favors tool. I've been kind of preferring the neutral guys as of recently. The ability guys I've tested a little bit, but I mean, the fact that this guy's legendary in everything makes me tempted to be like, let's just get this guy. We might do that. Are there any interesting neutral or ability guys? This guy's neutral, outstanding with minors and amateurs, only good with international and majors. Maybe. What if we just sort by amateurs here? See, like, here's one guy. And this guy, too. Honestly, I might go this neutral guy, Omar Fernandez. Legendary at majors, minors, and international, and then outstanding with amateurs. He's neutral. We've been rocking neutral for a while with the Nationals. I was enjoying how it was working. So I think we're going to hire Omar Fernandez here. He's 63, so he's a bit older than I would have liked. I would like to be able to keep a guy around for a decent amount of time, but we're going to hope he's going to be around for at least like 5 years. Where the hell is this guy from? Okay, is this real life Isaiah Campbell? It is indeed. This is Isaiah Campbell. I did not know that's where he was from. I knew about the Portuguese connection. Did not know whatever this is. But interesting scout too. Favors tools though. But I think we're going to go with Omar Fernandez. Or we could go with Isaiah Campbell. He's outstanding everything, only favors tools. So he's not quite neutral, but he's not quite highly favors tools. And then even this Sunbeck guy who's legendary with everything, he's 58. Fernandez is 63. Campbell's only 39, though. I feel like we need as good of a scout as possible with this expansion team, though. So I think we're going to go Omar Fernandez. We're going to go legendary with everything except for amateurs, neutral. That's what we're going to go with. Alrighty, folks, it is November 11th. We are closing in on that expansion draft date. We have signed our entire staff except for our rookie ball manager, who we do currently have an offer out for a guy. He just needs to accept it. I'll probably accept it within the next couple days. Aside from that, everyone else is locked in. We are trying to keep everybody's staff roles to where they're not hating each other. Our third base coach, unfortunately, struggles with 3 of the guys, but I think he'll be fine. Everyone else, not really much conflicting going on with our staff. We've got guys that should be able to, like, he's catching. I think he's infield. He's outfield. Outfield. Let's just have him do the infield. Yeah, so base coaches are doing. We got at least excellent and everything for the staff roles. Everyone should be set to go here. As far as what our manager is, he's a small ball guy. And you may be asking yourself, why are you hiring a small ball manager, Jersey? Well, I have an idea. Basically, what we're going to be doing with our strategy here, obviously none of this matters because we don't have players on the team right now, but we are going to be trying to be fast, put the ball in contact, play station-to-station baseball. That is essentially what the overarching goal of Salt Lake Gulls baseball is going to be. We're going to be trying to steal a ton. We're going to be trying to be aggressive on the base paths. We're going to be using hit and runs like crazy. We're going to bunt. We're going to get runners over. We're even going to squeeze bunt. We're going to try to bunt for hit, maybe not that much, maybe like this much. We'll keep it light for now. We'll see how it is. And then all this stuff is going to be the usual. The pitching is going to be the usual Jersey-born stuff. I'll be going in and editing every single guy individually on our Major League team and making sure that they have the right pitching stuff. But as far as the offense goes, it's going to be a bit different than you're used to seeing. We're going to be going all out for speed, bat-to-ball skills. We're going to be looking for guys that can bunt for hit, gap power over power. Eye is not going to be a huge importance to us. We're trying to put the ball into play and put pressure on the opposing defense. That is what our philosophy is here in Salt Lake. And then taking a look at the rest of the staff very quickly, our scouting director, we already talked about him. He's very good across the board. We've got a team trainer who I like. He's got really, really good rehab stuff for his arm, leg, other rehab back, excellent. He's also excellent at preventing arms and legs, only okay at backs, and then poor for others, with an excellent fatigue recovery. So basically we're rolling the dice with this category right here to prevent other injuries. But then he's also got the outstanding rehab for those. So as long as he's not going to be, getting guys get hurt all the time with arms and legs, and even if guys are going to get hurt, like, the guys are going to get hurt. So he's our trainer. That's what it is. And then the rest of the Major League staff, we've got our pitching coach, Scotty Layfield here. Really good at pitching, developing, mechanics, excellent at handles, aging. He used to be the coach of the Vancouver Canadians, the pitching coach. Then we also have our hitting coach is Taylor Pullins. He's from Utah. He's from Provo. Excellent at teaching hitting and developing, or legendary hitting, outstanding development, excellent everything else. He's good to go. And then our base coach is Jake Duggar. Yeah, we saw him, what he's going to be working on for us. And then our third base coach, Buzz Hanahan. Great name. He is our guy. So that is our big league staff here. Now we're just waiting on actually getting guys onto the team. One thing I should mention is that we have our player development cranked up through the roof at $55 million, and then our scouting at $36 million. And for now, usually what I would do with this is I would have Major League and minor scouting on 10%, and then amateur international on 40%. That's pretty much just like the baseline of what I do all the time. What we are doing, since I'm trying to get guys scouted, I don't really know if this is going to matter much, but at least heading into the expansion draft, we are having our major and minor league scouting up to 30 and 35%. No amateur scouting right now because it is the off season, and then we do have international scouting going because it is the IFA period, and we want those getting scouted. We do currently have some guys on our IFA list, our 10 guys. They're being scouted. So we have some dudes on that list right now, but obviously we're a bit behind other teams here. We're not going to be able to get the full player dev lab here this offseason, but once we do get guys in the system, we're probably going to be throwing in a bunch of guys for like defensive labs and just trying to get all sorts of like the short ones to go through this offseason. And then next year, we'll get the usual development lab 2-tier thing going on. Like I said, don't know if the cranking the scouting budget and then changing up to the percentages from where it's actually going is going to matter here for this limited amount of time we have heading into the expansion draft, but that's what we're going to be doing here. So we may be heading into the expansion draft with some guys not fully scouted, not really sure what's going on, but we're going to take our best educated guess and go from there. You can see I also have some scouting priorities down here. I sometimes have these on, sometimes have them off here. I just have them right now to where like any hitter who's a speedster is being scouted, prioritized with a slight preference. Any hitter who's max age of all these guys are max age 28, by the way. Any hitter who is a contact hitter is being prioritized, and then anybody who is a defensive wizard at catcher, center, and shortstop are being prioritized right now as well. I thought about throwing on any pitcher who is a ground baller, but we'll just keep that how it is. And we're going to have these. These are all just slight preferences. Like I said, I've had these on before. I've never really noticed too much of a difference, so we're just throwing them on there, because why not? And now, obviously, we don't care about this much, because we're not with the Washington Nationals anymore, but I did want to just go over some of the MVP, some of the awards here. National League MVP, Jerry Harris does not get it. He does not even get top 3, but there are 3 Nationals in the top 4, even one guy down here. So a lot of Cardinals, I should say, on the list, but then Jerry Harris was 5th, top 5 in the MVP voting. The winner was Lance Smithkle of the San Diego Padres. Well, over on the American League side of things, Danny Ibarra, who we saw in the postseason in the World Series, is your MVP of the 2036 season. And then when it comes to the Cy Young Award winner in the National League, it was Takashima, the guy that the Giants brought over. I mean, insane year for him, and they don't even make the playoffs, even with this guy on their staff. And then behind him, Jerry Pope, who we saw in the playoffs. And then Jerry Harris, 3rd in Cy Young voting, which is pretty insane for what he had done during his career up until that season. And then over on the American League side of things, it was Roberto Cadena as the White Sox starter, with Mick Abel behind him in the 2nd spot, and then Antonio Ortiz, who's been around for a while, with the Astros as the 3rd pitcher. And then because this Takashima guy was in the league, Wei Lee actually gets beaten out for Rookie of the Year, but Wei Lee does get 2nd, and then Dave Flores does get 3rd, and Marco Barrera even had 1 point towards the vote. Bobby Matamoros gets snubbed on Reliever of the Year again, barely beat out by Rodolfo De La Torre. And then, did we have any Gold Glovers on the Nationals? Yes, indeed. Dylan O'Ray ends up winning a Gold Glove in right field. We're currently here at the start of the free agency filings here this offseason. As you can see, Jerry Harris does indeed want a massive contract. Obviously, we're not going to be giving him this with Salt Lake and our small market over here on the other side of the country, but just thought I'd show, he might break this offseason and end up as a guy who just kind of sits around in free agency and nobody ever signs. But hopefully somebody at some point signs him, because he's Jerry goddamn Harris. Alrighty, folks. We are here for the expansion draft in the 2036 into 2037 offseason for our Salt Lake Gulls and the Nashville Stars in a Serpentine draft here. Once again, the rules are 35 total rounds, 28 players protected by each team, so they're able to protect their 26-man roster plus 2 extra players. With players with less than 4 years of service time are automatically protected, and then we can only pick 3 players from each team. We're not going to get the 45 total, obviously with only 35 rounds, but this is just to limit me to being I'm not going to pick 8 guys from the Nationals. That's basically to limit me. So let's get into it here. As you can see, there's already a few Nationals names that we're seeing. Kevin Yoder, Vince Mangione, Ben Gardenhire, all on this list. And Jay Nelson. They expose Jay Nelson, who is not somebody I'm going to take with the first overall selection in the expansion draft, but it is interesting to see that Jay Nelson, who has what should be 2 more years of team minimum, is just not being protected by the Nationals. So that's interesting. Alrighty, so we've done up a couple of views here, so it's easier to just see guys on an actual view here. So we got a hitters page where we've got the contact potential, gap, power, eye, bunt for hit, speed, stealing, the 3 main defensive ones, catcher, framing, infield range, outfield range, how many option years have been used, their current salary, and how many years left, all viewable on this page, plus the scouting accuracy, the bats throws, age, what organization they're in, name, position, and then for pitchers, it's the same usual stuff up here, but then you've got velocity potential, stuff, movement, control, stamina, whether they're a ground ball, fly ball, neutral, extreme fly ball, whatever, how many pitches they throw, the option years, salary years left. So these are our views, and now we're going to see what is out there. I'm going to look at hitters first. Are there any decent framers? Let's just go all hitters here. So we've got a 75 framing catcher. Intriguing, but not quite first overall selection here. Not seeing any overalls there that would be first overall. I would like to get this guy at some point, but not right now. As far as infield range goes, Tyler Brewington, I know for a fact it's not a 70 range, so that is definitely not accurate. There is going to be some hit or miss here because we don't have everybody fully scouted. But I'm fine with that. But I do have a bit of an advantage with some of these Nationals guys that I know for a fact that Tyler Brewington is not a 70 infield range. So that's definitely something that we should be weary of with some of these guys. Brewington, definitely not somebody he could be a guy we take, because I know he's good and could potentially be a guy, but I'm not sure if, and he's also 80 sack bunt, I'm not sure if we want to have him as the number 1 overall selection. Kalunga, probably fake. Dusty Sutton, I've been aware of this guy for a while. Not sure if I want to make him the number 1 overall selection of the expansion draft. Right now, Brewington might be the best shot. I mean, this guy, I guess he's been around for a long time. Bat doesn't look that intriguing. He can't bunt either. Outfield. Any good outfielders? Carlos Tejera. Okay. Not sure if I would take him number 1 overall, but definitely an intriguing outfielder. Casanova. Oh, I forgot about this guy. This guy's definitely... I think he actually is 70 range. But once again, not a guy I would want to take number 1 overall. Luis Cruz. Manny De Los Santos. He's interesting. Don't love the personality, though. Maybe. Lorenzo Laurel. Tony Mora. Yeah. And now we're down to the 65 guys. I do know this Matthew Banks guy was popping off a ton in high A this past year, and then A the year before that. Once again, we only have 3 picks from one organization, so we can't just be like, oh, give us Banks and give us 85 guys from the Nationals organization. We got to spread it all around. So I'm not sure if any of these guys are that intriguing. What about if we just sort overall? We got Harley McGee, slap-hitting first baseman who can sack bunt, but he's a first baseman. And like I said, we are trying to be a contact, bunt, speed-focused team, but I'm not sure if I want to take a guy like this at first base. Number 1 overall. Amador, probably not. Yeah, probably not number 1 overall. Maybe. I mean, Brewington might be our best bet at this point. If we sort by potential, it's Tyler Brewington is top of the list here, along with that Carrizales guy, Daryl Lichty, outfielder who can't really play the outfield, so that automatically eliminates him. Matsunaga. That's interesting. That's definitely more interesting than some of the other guys. 65 outfield range, whether that's higher or lower, even if it's 60 and he's just a really good corner guy, I'm fine with that. Intriguing bat, but he is about to be 26, so this could very well just be a lying sort of bat, and he's just at a really league average sort of hitter. So not sure if we want to go that route. And then there's this Jose Saiz guy, who bat is very intriguing. Glove is not. This guy's definitely just a first baseman, and I don't know if I want to take a first baseman. Even a guy like this, who is 22 and could possibly be like the face of the franchise. It is interesting, though, to possibly take a guy who is face of the franchise, though. Omar Perez. I mean, we got to do our due diligence in some of these 50 guys here. Carlos Tapia. Interesting eye, but he's just a first baseman. David Powis. You know, they're like, this David Powis guy could be intriguing for what we want to do, but he has no speed. Like, if he had speed and he had this type of contact profile, I would be interested in him because we're trying to do this slap-hitting speed sort of thing. But also, like, those guys are a dime a dozen. We don't need to take the number 1 overall pick in the expansion draft as a guy like that. And also, we're probably just thinking too much in general on the first pick in the expansion draft, because it's just the expansion draft. You know, it's not going to be too insane here. This Angel Mendoza guy could be interesting. Just a second baseman. There's no way he could play short that level of arm, but his speed's not great. His personality's not great. De La Fuente guy is all pop, swing and miss. So honestly, for me, it's probably either Tyler Brewington, Jose Saiz to be a first baseman, or potentially, who is the other guy that we looked at? Angel Mendoza. But it's probably down to either Brewington or Saiz if we go position player. But if we go hitter, or pitcher rather, if we go pitcher, Jay Nelson's a reliever. I'm not going to take him number 1 overall. Jake Marsala, that could be intriguing. We know that Marsala's good. We could take a swing in the dark, or not swing in the dark, but we could take a swing big here on Marsala and be like, hey man, maybe you could be like a starter for us. Like, we would start him, see what he could do for us. That could potentially be intriguing. He's only 26. He's about to be 27. He would be a bit more expensive, but could be interesting. We'll have to see. As far as these other 50s that are here, there's Jay Nelson, Tony Inigo, just a reliever, 2-pitch guy. Intriguing, but not quite who I want to take number 1 overall here. All these other guys seem to be a bit older. Yeah. Any high potential guys? There's Fidel Torres, another guy from the Nationals, who could be an intriguing one, but also might not be an intriguing one because he's extreme fly ball. And unfortunately in this game, like I said, I changed our stadium dynamics. Let's just show those real quick. I did end up changing our stadium dynamics. It's also named Power District Stadiums because that's just like kind of the default generic name for it in real life with their idea, their rendering they have. And basically these factors are all within a couple, they're within like 15 to 20. Like 1 point, like this is 1.08 for the Rockies, so we just did 1.06 because Salt Lake is higher elevation, but not quite as high elevation as the Rockies. So you take a look at these numbers, and then for the Rockies, they all just go up a little bit. So overall, it's 1.074 for the Rockies, and then for us, it's 1.054. So definitely going to be harder to pitch here. And the thing about being the Rockies in this game is you don't actually have to deal with the fact that the pitches move differently. There's none of that in this game. So you're not like, oh, the slider's not going to slide as much. And certain pitchers just can't pitch there because their pitches don't move like they do anywhere else. None of that is actually in the game. For here, it's just the run factor. So it's, conquering cores is pretty much just get a bunch of ground ballers and don't have any extreme fly ballers. So this guy might not end up working out in somewhere like Salt Lake. But Marsala, definitely an option for us. Who else do we have here? We've got Santiago Ramos. Okay. Now, he is probably fake. He's about to be 25. We don't have any scouting reports on him because we just hired the scout, but definitely somebody who probably looks fake, has never put up great numbers. He's had some time in the big leagues here, has never really done well. So definitely a guy who seems fake to me. This guy also about to be 25, coming off a partially torn labrum. Definitely fake. Vinny Diaz could potentially not be fake. 33 overall prospect. This guy's probably top of the board right now. 23 years old. He's probably got like one more full year to start filling these in. He's already just like a full stuff, no movement, no control guy. We'll see. Definitely up there towards the top of the list. Great name on this guy. He's about to be 25. Probably fake. And when I say fake, I mean his potentials are fake. Heising Morrison, once again, another fake potentials guy. We know about Jake Marsala. Bob O'Neill. I mean, even if his potentials do fail in, this movement is completely unplayable. Mike Wiley, yeah, definitely a fake sort of guy. Franklin Wilson, just a reliever. And then you have some 55s here available. Actually, quite a bit of 55s. But so many of them, I'd imagine, are fake potential guys. Like anybody who's 24, you're like, oh, this guy's about to be 25. He's probably fake. If there's anybody lower, though, younger rather, like Ricardo Rosales here, probably has like 1 year. Justin Richardson is a closer coming off an injury, and he's fragile. Julio Montoya is about to be 23. So he maybe has like 1.5 2 years to develop. But also at the same time, if I'm going to take a guy like this, I'd probably still prefer, what's his name, Vinny Diaz. Because he's a 65, even if it is average, and he's also highly rated as a prospect in general. Where did I leave off? Montoya. Martinez. Coming off an injury. Probably not going to take him. Letterman is fake. Leo Yara. Coming off an injury. He is a prospect. 55 control potential. Maybe. He's intriguing. I'll throw him on the interested list. I should be doing that just to have these guys pop up and be easier to identify. Montoya, will throw him on the interested list. And if you haven't been able to tell by now, this is probably going to be a long video of me dissecting through every single player in these expansion drafts, trying to make sure we get the most ideal start that we possibly can at this level. So yeah, now taking a look at, so we added Yara, Inigo. We'll add him to the interested list, and if they get taken in between rounds, we will remove them off the interested list, or it won't even matter because we won't be able to see their names. Yeah, definitely fake. Already has good stuff, but probably not worth adding to the list here. CJ Franco. Maybe. We'll add him to the list. Eddie Avila. Probably more so reliever with this type of movement. Yeah. We'll add him to the list, though. And then we've got back up to Marsala. But yeah, I think we're gonna go Vinny Diaz. I think Vinny Diaz is gonna be our first overall selection, and then we'll move on from there. So Vinny Diaz, 33rd overall prospect. He's 23, about to be 24. He could potentially still fill in some of these ratings, and does not have a super ton of time in the big leagues. Had a little tiny bit of success, sort of, in Minnesota this past season, but not in Pittsburgh. K percentage decent. Fastball velo is very good. We got to improve the other stuff, though. But he's got a bunch of pitches. He's got stamina. We're going to take him. Vinny Diaz is the number 1 overall selection in the expansion draft. And then number 2 for Nashville is this guy. Sure. Why not? That's who they take. And then their number 2 selection, because it's Serpentine, another guy. 22. So they took a fake potential guy and then a 22-year-old, both pitchers. Both could be starters. And now we have our pick of any of these pitchers or Brewington. Inigo is interesting, because he is a reliever, though. Montoya, maybe, because he has the big-time control, and we've had success with these control guys. Franco, maybe. Eddie Avila, probably not. Wasn't there another? Yeah, it was Yara. Yara was the guy who was on the prospect list that we were looking at. So Yara's never even actually pitched. He has service time, but he's never actually been in the big leagues. What if we compare these two guys? Potential-wise, Montoya's probably the better guy. Currently, it's Leo Yara. I mean, we might go back-to-back with these guys if we can. I think I'm going to go Montoya. And then we're going to go Leo Yara, even though he's hurt, simply because he only has a week left on the injury. So we've selected Leo Yara. That is now... I guess I should be paying attention to the teams I'm taking people from. Leo Yara from Boston, Montoya from Seattle, and Diaz from Minnesota. So now we move things on. Nashville then takes Justin Richardson, reliever type, on the IL for 7 months. And then Roberto Garcia, who, I mean, this guy looks terrible. I don't know. Their scout must love him or something. And now we just have our pick of anybody once again. I think maybe Rosales. I think we might go Rosales and then Brewington to get a hitter in the mix. Yeah, we're going to do that. Ricardo Rosales, lock him in, and then we take a look at some hitters here, and we go Tyler Brewington or Saiz. I think we're going to go Brewington simply because even if he's not... We know that he can't play short, but he's probably going to be able to be a really good corner outfielder or second baseman. And he's got that sack bunt. He's got the speed. We're going to take Brewington. Brewington's going to be our guy here. He's our first selection from the Nationals. And now Nashville has their picks. They take a third baseman in Ryan Stanky, 29 years old. Sure. And then their next selection is a right fielder in Angelo Ugueto. Another older player. Sure. And now we are tempted to take Saiz. He's not as fast as I would like, but he's intriguing. Then if we look at the pitchers again, CJ Franco is definitely intriguing. He's got high work ethic. He's got the 3 pitches that could possibly fill in. He's a fly ball guy, but I'm kind of interested in potentially rolling the dice on a guy like that. So I think we're going to do it. I think we're going to go CJ Franco and see if he can develop for us this season. Boom. CJ Franco. And now we're going to go back to hitters. And I think we're going to take Saiz, even though we don't think he's anything but a first baseman. Because there's no, like, obvious outfield talent to take right now. I guess this Tejera guy, but I think we can wait on this guy. I feel like we could definitely wait on somebody like Tejera. This guy's only a 40 potential. Manny De Los Santos is interesting, intriguing a little bit, but his personality sucks. What if I go 65 outfield range? Okay. Yeah, we saw the Japanese guy from the Athletics. Maybe. He's probably fake, though, is the thing. And we don't want to risk that he's never going to develop anything. Tejera is definitely intriguing, but I don't think I want to take him here. So I think we are going to take... Unless there's a big infield range guy we could take right now. Dusty Sutton. I think we're going to take Saiz, because he has the potential to possibly be a really good hitter. So we're going to take Saiz, lock him in, and then Nashville is going to take Jeremy Williams. Sure. And Jake Marsala. Oh my god, I totally forgot about Marsala. Fuck me. Well, that's a bummer. Well, we lose that on Marsala. We go back to look at the pitchers. Those guys are all fake. Eddie Avila, I mean, he's 22, halfway to 23. His third pitch sucks. He's all stuff. I mean, maybe he could hack it. Are there any big-time control guys available here? Like a Manny Sandoval? He's kind of fake, though. He's 24, almost 25. Here's Ryan Murphy. I know for a fact he's got big-time control. He could definitely be a guy we take at some point, but probably not right now. This guy is very intriguing to me, though. He's almost 23, so he's still had a little bit of time to develop here. Just dominated high A here. Why didn't he pitch in 2035? Tore his elbow at the end of 2034, missed the whole season, and then came back here in 2036 in high A ball as a 22-year-old. Probably would be in the minors for us to start, but very intriguing here with the control and movement. For sure. Tim Wolfley, very intriguing as well. He's almost 24, though, so definitely not as intriguing. I think we're going to take Roberto Carlos. He's going to be our guy. We're going to lock him in here. This guy could be intriguing. He could be a good second baseman, good third baseman, slap hitter. He's still 22. So we might go with that guy, the Carrizales guy, as our second selection here in this back-to-back Serpentine. Yeah, we're going to do it. We're going to go Carrizales. We're going to lock him in. And then we're going to move things on. We're going to go Ash Miller goes to the Stars. Sure. Eric Oliver goes to the Stars. They're not taking a lot of the young guys. They're taking a lot of like what I'd imagine they think are Major League ready guys. Really weird that Jay Nelson just disappeared from the draft. I don't know what the hell happened there, but very odd. I'm tempted to take Dusty Sutton here, just to guarantee that we get a shortstop. And he could potentially flourish in our system with a big contact gap power. I took him in the Rule 5 one year with Washington, so I think we're gonna do that. We're gonna take Dusty Sutton, even though he's maybe not the best available guy right here. We're going to take him. Get ourselves a shortstop. Lock that in. Any good? Ooh, there's the 75 framing catcher here who doesn't fit our philosophy offensively, but I mean, getting a 75 framing catcher who you just plug in and just be a nothing offensively and just handle the pitching staff, that is quite intriguing. Poto Fittipaldi. That's pretty intriguing, too. We'll throw him on the interested list. I do have a filter here for 45 overall. And this guy is intriguing. He's got 70 control. He's probably fake with the rest of it, but I mean, 70 control with... This is already looking pretty decent. He could be intriguing. Maybe not right now, but definitely intriguing. All right, I think we're going to take Tim Wolfley here because he could potentially fill in some of these potentials here. So we're going to take Wolfley and then come back and see if this Quiroz guy, or however you say his name, is there in the next set of picks that we have. So the Nashville selects Oscar Ramirez, slap-hitting first baseman with like a Dylan O'Reilly type bat. And then they take this guy who was on my interested list. So we can remove him off the interested. Sure. Reliever could be good, but probably is going to be good, but I was prioritizing stuff before relievers. So I think we're going to take this guy right now. Get our pitching staff all set in. We've already got quite a few pitchers, so I think we're going to go a bunch of hitters now in a row with all our picks here. And there are definitely some intriguing bats out there that could definitely help us right away. I'm now seeing what happened with Jay Nelson disappearing. I thought that this the draft rules thing of having 3 picked players was for each individual. Like you could, I guess it makes more sense that it is just 3 total players from a team. And it's not 3 for each team that's selecting. So what happened was the first Washington Nationals player was Tyler Brewington, who we took. And then we took, or Marsalo went to the Stars, so that's 2. And then this Carlos guy I did not realize was actually a National, so we took him, and that was the 3rd player from the Nationals organization. So that is why Jay Nelson disappeared from the draft board, because we are not able to actually select any players from the Washington Nationals anymore. Their organization is now closed off. So it actually does update that here. And it shows you that you can't actually select anybody from the Washington Nationals organization. So that is good to know. And I do believe that a couple Toronto Blue Jays have been taken here. So I think we are going to lock in our center fielder here in Carlos Tejera. Even if this guy's a 70 outfield range, he's going to be the center fielder. So Carlos Tejera here, we're going to lock him in as our next selection. I'm not really seeing anything too interesting. Rembert's a 45. Mendez, okay-ish. Cervantes, no. TJ Blevins, okay. Armino, no. Arana, decent potential, or a decent utility guy, but don't know if I want to take him here. This is also just the hitters here, so if we take a look at their pitchers, there's only a few available, looks like. More than I thought. Shell Freeman, no. He's a fake guy. Another guy who has a fake potential. Nick Potter, okay-ish reliever. Bad reliever. And then, yeah, so there's nobody from Boston that we are interested in taking here. We're just going to go and keep going on our draft as we were going upon it. And I think we're gonna lock in this catcher here, just because why not? We're doing it. We're locking in our catcher talent, and then we are going to have another pick here. And I might take that other catcher we were looking at here, Poto Fittipaldi, take him off the interested list and take him right here as a potential guy who, I mean, he just raked in AAA this past season. Really good percentile rankings here. The max EV, not as high as you would like it to be, but still pretty good. And could be a potential good backup. Switch hitter, too. Good name. We'll keep on the interested list, actually. Actually, I am seeing Minnesota. I wish their team names were listed here, but we took Vinny Diaz, who was from Minnesota. Kansas City, Philadelphia, Seattle, Boston, Atlanta. So that's 2 Atlantas I know because we took Saiz. And we're going to try to get a bat that we like. And I'm thinking this Harley McGee guy could be interesting as a really good contact hitter. He's probably just a first baseman DH, though. And we've already got Saiz, who's probably going to fill that role. This guy's also intriguing. Seojan Williamson, righty-lefty. What a weird player. He's a righty-lefty first baseman with 80 grade speed, base running, steal tendency, stealing ability. Can't really bunt, but he's never going to strike out. If we end up taking Manny De Los Santos, that means that we would only have one more Minnesota player to take. So I think I'm not going to take a Minnesota player here. We might go back-to-back Minnesota our next back-to-back. So we might go De Los Santos and then the catcher. So we're going to leave him on the board here because we only have one outfielder right now, and that is the Tejera guy who's probably going to play center field for us. This David Blancas guy is kind of intriguing with big-time gap power, The contact's not as good as I would like it to be. He's only a 40, so probably not that intriguing. This guy is intriguing for sure. Big time contact, average gap power. He's not as fast as I would like him, but he's a really good outfielder who's going to put the ball in play. Maybe. We'll throw him on the interested list. Yeah, fuck it. I think we're just going to take this guy, Harley McGee. 30 years old, almost 31, but we know that he's a really good contact hitter and fits our philosophy here. So we're just going to lock him in, Harley McGee. And then Nashville is going to take Bill Atkinson. Sure. And Danny Wagstaff. Sure. So now I think we are just going to do that Minnesota thing that I was talking about, where we're going to go Manny De Los Santos. Yeah, we're going to go De Los Santos. And then we're going to go to catcher. And I'm looking at outfield range. And we're going to get Poto, and that's going to eliminate Minnesota from the board. So then Nashville is going to select... Did not mean to click on their team. I believe the guy they just took is that fake potential. Yeah, this guy, he's definitely not filling in that potential, but he gets taken by Nashville anyways. And then Jerry Villarreal, who also probably a fake potential guy. We only have 35 total rounds, so we're like a little bit more than halfway through this right now. We're going to do a bit of an interesting selection here. This is going to be the first guy who's making any sort of real money on our team, but it's only for 1 year, and it's Jason DeCaro, who I know at one point in his career was good. You can see here he won a Cy Young in 2033. That's not that long ago. This season did not do well at all in 2036. He was terrible. But even as recently as 2034, he was a really good pitcher, and he's got that high control. And I know he has high control. At the very least, it's a 55, so we're going to roll the dice. And even if he isn't good, we're an expansion team. We're not going to be good. And he only has 1 year of team control left anyways before he hits free agency. So we're going to get Jason DeCaro here and see if he could potentially be a guy in our rotation for us that maybe is good, and we trade him at the deadline. So we're going to lock him in, and then our next selection is going to be probably a hitter. Oh, you may also notice I changed some of the things. So there's the hitter ones where these ratings are potentials. Same with pitchers, potentials. And then I changed it to where ones where they're just the current overalls. Because when you look at the potentials, you get a lot of guys who have the fake potentials. And I want to make sure that we're getting a guy who can actually perform for us like right now. And then simply because we don't have many outfielders right now, we only have 2 selected, I'm going to go and take this Joe Stockdale guy, who's that big-time bat-to-ball skill, really good outfielder. We are going to select him. Boom, lock that in. Then Nashville's going to have 2 picks here. They're going to take Ryan Hammond. Sure, looks like he'd be pretty decent for them. And then Gabe Tuning. Sure. And then we are going to turn around and we are going to select this Chris Tedrow guy, who's an intriguing infielder with some good bat-to-ball skills, good gap power, good speed, good bunting, good personality class. Probably just a second baseman or a third baseman. Second base might even be tough with a 45 turn DP, but we're just trying to, get guys who could be interesting for us and just get bodies in the building. So Chris Tedrow is going to be our selection. And then we have one more pick before Nashville gets 2 in a row. So I think we are going to look at some pitchers here to potentially get somebody who can help us. We're actually going to go ahead and take another outfielder here. Once again, this is another guy we don't have fully scouted, but 23 years old, currently with the Angels organization, who we just have listed as their AAA team, the Fullerton Titans, because their current AAA team is Salt Lake, the Bees. So I will eventually figure out what I want their AAA team to be, but for now I just put it as just a generic placeholder, something near California, near Anaheim. And then I also am changing the Brewers AAA team because they're the Nashville Sounds. But anyways, back to this Josh Schwickrath guy. Right-handed hitter, right-handed thrower, bat-to-ball skills, good gap power, speed, stealing, sack bunt, good outfielder, good infielder at first base as well. We're going to give this guy a chance. Josh Schwickrath. And then we are going to see who Nashville takes. Josh Thomas. Sure, fake potential guy. And then a lefty. Sure. Fuck it. We're going to take this guy simply because his bat is too interesting for me to pass up, and as well as the speed profile for him. And right now he's a good first baseman, but he's got a 50 range in the outfield, so like maybe we could potentially get like some sort of dev lab thing on him where he gets bumped up to a decent left fielder or something. So we're just going to try. Why not? Throw him on the list. And then I think we might take this Aponte guy to get an infielder who could be a potential bat to ball. We played against this guy in the postseason with the Angels. He pinch hit a couple times for them. He was a guy I think I looked at after this 2034 season because he was in free agency and he wanted like to get paid a major league deal, and we just didn't want to give him a major league deal. So this guy, we're going to pick him up. Lipertz, Aponte, those are our back-to-back picks. And then Nashville's going to take this guy who straight up sucks. And we're the 24th pick here. And I don't think we have any lefties that we've taken here. If we have, we've taken maybe like one. But I think we want to get some lefties if we can, because lefties are always hard to get. And keep in mind, we haven't even really looked at the free agency. So we can still sign guys from free agency. Like Wellington Herrera's out there for cheap. We could go after somebody like that. So, you know, stuff like that is still doable in free agency. But there's also somebody like Ryan Dove here who's on a big-time contract. Or not even. He's on arbitration for 12.5 this season. I don't know why this guy's making so much money in arb. I guess he's had some good reliever years. Yeah, I mean, he could be a lefty that helps us. There's also Vince Mangione, I believe, who's still here. Yes. So we could go after him. I'm tempted to just kind of get, like, Dove and Yoder back-to-back and then just have, at the very least, like a high-stuff double-barrel reliever option in Ryan Dove as a lefty and then Kevin Yoder as a righty. I think that's kind of intriguing. I think we might just do that right now. Let's give me Ryan Dove. And then give me Kevin Yoder. And then Nashville's going to select all-glove infielder. And then, sure, who cares? This guy is definitely just a fake potential guy, but just on the off chance that maybe something happens if he actually plays enough for us this season, we're going to take this guy because, I don't know, maybe it fills in. Who knows? Hector Gomez, still very cheap on league minimum. We're going to take him with one of our selections here. We're going to take this guy, Nick Casson, who's got some good percentile rankings in AAA. Lefty, potentially a guy that we platoon in the outfield or something. The outfield's a bit suspect, so it might limit him. But, you know, at this point in the draft, we're just kind of looking for anything at this point. So Nick Casson is going to be our next selection in this draft. And then Nashville is going to select Jose Casas. Where was this guy? I was blanking on this guy. Oh, I've had it searched at 45 overall for a while now. So yeah, they take him, and then they take Gil Ortiz. Sure. We're going to take this off the 45 overall limiter, and we are going to look at pitchers. Just anybody who could potentially fill in, like this Billy Meador guy. Very intriguing. 80 potential control. This Manny Sandoval guy could potentially fill in his potential control as well. I might spend a pick on this guy simply because we're not going to have like any pop on this team, and this guy could potentially give us pop and speed. He's probably just a DH because I don't think he's going to be able to hang it at first base unless he gets some insane luck on a dev lab throughout this offseason. But we're going to select this guy, and maybe he's, I don't know, he's a spark plug, got good personality. Maybe he turns into a big bopper for us at the major league level. And then I'm going to take a chance on this Manny Sandoval guy who has 80 potential control. Maybe it fills in, maybe it doesn't. He still has an option year. Who knows? So we're going to select him. And then Nashville is going to have Lorenzo Laurel, who is a good outfielder. I thought about potentially taking him. That guy has a crazy face scan. What the hell? And then they take Colin Bland as a potential power hitter. And now we are going to take this Billy guy, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I think we're going to take Billy to potentially fill in his control. You know, we're going to take a chance on this guy. Maybe this guy fills in. He's not quite 25 yet. Batters usually, if anybody is going to develop past 25, it's going to be a hitter and not a pitcher. So we're going to take a chance on Daryl Lichty here. Lock him in. Nashville then takes Juan Sanchez, third baseman. And then this guy I saw earlier because he's from Niger. And he's wrecked. Thought that was intriguing. Or I thought it was intriguing that he was from a weird country that you don't see baseball players from, but then I saw he was wrecked, and I was like, I'm not going to take him. I think we're going to select Angel Mendoza, who we were looking at the very beginning of the draft, and he's still here, 22 years old, could potentially fill in and be like a Dylan O'Reilly type bat, who could be a second baseman, and just a second baseman. Could be intriguing. And he has all 3 option years left as well, so Angel Mendoza is going to be our first selection here. And then why not? This guy could potentially be a Dylan O'Reilly type bat as well. So we're going to see if he fills in as a outfielder. Because why not? Jeremy Ellison from the New York Yankees. All right, so there's just like no interesting bats left. So we're just going to use our last few selections here to just get a few pitchers that we know can help us right from the get-go here. And that is going to be... the first one is Porter Hodge, who is just going to step in and immediately be a good reliever for us. And he is signed through next season at $2.9 million, but I mean, that's $2.9 million. Who cares? We're going to bring him in as a veteran guy. He's a leader. He should help our team. And then our next selection is going to be Drew Titsworth here, because he is a player that I've heard of in real life because he pitches for Clemson. And his name is Drew Titsworth. And he's actually been pretty decent as a reliever in this universe, so we're going to lock him in. He's on a similar deal to Porter Hodge. I'm fine with that. Let's just do it. He's at the very least going to be a good reliever for us, and we're going to get him. And that was the end of the draft. So we have gone through 35 rounds. All right. Alrighty, folks. We have reached opening day 2037. It is time for the first year of existence for the Salt Lake Gulls and the Nashville Stars. But before we get into the actual season, obviously it is time to go over everything we did in the offseason and take a look at the state of this organization. So, going back into the offseason here, late December, Rule 5 draft, we went pretty crazy with the Rule 5 draft. Some of these guys made the team, some of these guys did not. Actually, only 2 of these guys didn't make the team. The rest of these guys are actually going to be on our roster here. You can see we took a lot of Nationals players, 4 Nationals players. All of those guys did indeed make the team, but let's just go in order here of our Rule 5 selections. In the first round, we took Marcos de la Cruz from the Kansas City Royals. He is a lefty-lefty outfielder. This is actually the guy we are playing in center field right now. So, not the best center fielder of all time, but he should be good enough to hold his own. And if he's not, we can always move him to right field or left field. Probably going to be right field with just the situation we have right now. And move somebody else to center who we have the bodies to play there. But for now, this guy is our starting center fielder. He is one of the best players on our roster as well. And then in round 2 of the Rule 5, we took Ibert Sanchez from our Washington Nationals squad. He was the guy we signed or we traded for from Arizona with the Nationals. You can see here. Here we go. 2035 offseason, traded by the D-backs to the Nationals in exchange for Jose Godoy. And then he spent a season in the minor leagues with Washington, and then we decided to pick him up to the Rule 5, and he is now on our roster. He's actually going to be platooning for us. We will get into the actual construction of the Major League roster as we get to that point. Then in round 3, Kane Kepley. Technically, we took him for the Nationals, but I mean, he didn't really do much for the Nationals organization. I was just intrigued to have his eye and bat-to-ball skills and speed and good defense on our team. So Kane Kepley, he's a part of the organization. And then I should also change him to just be a left fielder because that's where we're playing him. And then we also took Ryan Murphy from the Washington Nationals, big-time control, 28 years old, right-handed pitcher, should be able to go deep into games and just be like a George Kirby, Shane Rodemaker type arm for us here in Salt Lake. And then we also took Travis Williams as a reliever from the Nationals organization, right-handed pitcher. He was in Double-A doing quite well in 2036 and in 2035 too. But 2036 completely dominated. He is ready for the big leagues. He's a spark plug, really good personality, really good control and movement, and he is going to be on our big league staff here to start the season. And then moving things on to Logan McCutcheon, who is actually going to be in our starting rotation here to start the season. He is a guy who had a good spring training. Are they able to see that, perhaps? Yeah, 5 starts in spring training, did quite well in 14 innings, so he earned himself a spot in the rotation. So Logan McCutcheon, he's on the team here. Good personality for him as well. And then we have Dylan Crooks, one of the guys who ended up not making the team just because we wanted to make room for somebody else on the roster. I may end up giving him a minor league deal if I can. We don't really have the money to be doing that, so let's just not do that, but I'll add him to the interested list because his control is that high. But Dylan Crooks ended up not making our team. And then Steve Woods did make our team. He's actually going to be... we'll see how it is. He's going to be DHing. You'll see. I'll talk about the lineup more as we get to it. But Steve Woods here, really good base runner, okay bunter, not the fastest player, but really good base runner, and then has a lot of gap power and some home run pop. So, a lot of our players are this mentality that I wanted to go for, where we have the bat-to-ball skills and the speed and the gap power over home run power, but you need a couple guys that can hit home runs, and Steve Woods is like one of our guys who can hit home runs. I think he's like the only guy in the team, really, who has above like a 45 power. And then our last selection in the Rule 5, at the time of taking this guy, I thought that he was going to be much better than he was, but didn't end up looking too special, so we ended up not going for him. And I also thought he was going to be better in center field because he was only average scouting accuracy when we took him, and turned out not to be as good of a center fielder than we thought he was, so we ended up giving him back to Minnesota. And then in free agency, a lot of these guys ended up not making our team here, and we ended up having to waive and get claimed by different teams. But just going over the guys that did stick around in our organization here, only one of these guys is currently on our big league roster, and that is Jose Gomez. He is a 23-year-old, almost 24-year-old, technically outfielder, but he's really only like a horrible left fielder who could play first base as well. But really intriguing that. Average speed, average bunting, really good contact, 55 at least in all the contact categories, and then he even has some possibility to raise up the avoid K, and he's got 70 gap power. So definitely an intriguing bat to have on the team here. Then we also signed George Coons, who is an infielder, to a 2-year deal. He's currently rehabbing a ruptured MCL that he had a setback on too, unfortunately. So he's going to miss a good chunk of 2037 here, but we did sign him to a 2-year deal with a team option for the second year at a very cheap price, so he may be on next year's team as well, depending on how things shake out with his rehab and everything, and just guys solidifying themselves on spots on our team. And then we also signed a couple relievers. Ryan Blazer, interesting guy, had no options. He's currently on the waiver wire. He should be able to pass through, but just a body to have as an arm. And then we have Mitch Berrien, or Berrien, however you would say his name, another right-handed reliever from a university I've never heard of. Throws really good fastball, good personality class. Another guy just to have a body in the building. And then we also picked up Matt Mellick, who's got that contact, gap power, good speed, decent infielder. He is another guy who's currently on waivers, but should be able to pass through for us. We also ended up bringing over a Nationals farmhand to be a lefty reliever. He is on a major league deal, but we also waived and DFA'd him. We waived and DFA'd him, so he's not on the 40-man roster, even though he does have options. He's currently passing through. He should have no problem passing through the waivers, but really good curveball cutter combo, good stuff, has no control, no movement, but, he's a lefty, so he's valuable in that regard, and he's going to be in our organization here. And now it is time to take a look at our actual big league roster here. The first iteration of the Salt Lake Gulls here for the 2037 season. On the pitching side of things, we're going to have Jason DeCaro pitching opening day for us, a former Cy Young winner with the St. Louis Cardinals back in the 2033 season, I believe. Yes, indeed. His 4.8 WAR season. He's had some really good seasons with St. Louis, has kind of fallen off a cliff here. No longer looks like to be that same guy, but, at the very least, he's a local popularity guy, high leader for the team, has 55 control. Maybe we could tap into something here to be a serviceable guy that we maybe were able to trade away at the deadline or something like that. We'll have to see. And then we also have Yoel Kariz, Curaz. I'm not really sure how you would pronounce this last name. I'll figure it out eventually. But he was somebody who took in the initial expansion draft. Really, really good control on him, and that's really the reason why he's getting a chance in the rotation over some of our other guys, is because he has this 70 grade control, and we're hoping that maybe some of this other stuff can fill in. Probably not, but even if it doesn't, he's got that 70 control to help him along the way. And then we move things on. Logan McCutcheon, we already talked about him. He is in our rotation here. Picked him up in the Rule 5 from Arizona. And then there was Ryan Murphy. Picked him up in the Rule 5 from Washington, another one of these big control guys. And then in the 5th spot, it's Hector Gomez, who we picked up in the expansion draft from the Athletics. Once again, doubt this stuff fills in, but we're hoping it does. And he's okay-ish right now. He, just kind of one of the better guys we have at the moment. And then taking a look at our bullpen, the back half isn't too bad. We have Porter Hodge in a closer role with a secondary high leverage. So he's going to be in our back end of the bullpen. I didn't even realize he's from Salt Lake City. Had no idea, but he's from Salt Lake City, so hell yeah. Well-known, local popularity, good stuff, good, love to see that. He's also a high leader, good guy to have in the bullpen, or in the locker room. And then we have a double-barrel stopper situation of Kevin Yoder. 80 grade stuff. We should all be familiar with Kevin Yoder, especially if you've watched any of the Nationals series. 80 grade stuff, 80 grade fastball, 80 grade slider. Has no idea where it's going, but he's here for his stuff. He's got 35 stamina, so he should be able to hold his own in the stopper role. And then Ryan Dove, who is a lefty version of that. Fastball and sinker, with a cutter as well, 35 stamina and 75 grade stuff. So we have the double barrel stopper situation, and then the rest of the bullpen is just one big group that we're kind of hoping solidifies themselves in different ways. We're kind of just seeing how these guys perform to see where they kind of fit in our bullpen, but CJ Franco is a 23-year-old guy, almost 24, we picked up in the expansion draft from Atlanta. He's also a high leader. Him and Vinny Diaz are guys that we would potentially like to see make their way to the rotation at some point, but for now are in the bullpen as middle relief / long relief. And then we have Travis Williams, who we talked about, picked him up in the Rule 5 from Washington. Big-time control and movement. Dominated Double-A last year with Harrisburg. And then we have Robinson Ortiz, old friend from the Nationals, left-hander, 37 years old. We know that he's had Major League success in the past. Hasn't really pitched much in the majors ever since leaving the Nationals. He had a really good year. He had an okay year, pitching a lot of innings in 2035. But ever since then, 2036, split between 3 Major League teams. Didn't really get too much time anywhere. But he's going to pitch quite a bit here in Salt Lake as a lefty in our bullpen. And then we also have Drew Titsworth from Clemson University in our bullpen as well. Big-time movement, 55 control. Love to see it. I feel like our bullpen isn't too bad. I feel like they could actually be pretty decent. And now, time to take a look at our hitting side of things. Our lineups against righties and lefties, they do change quite a bit because we just have so many guys that are like bench-level players that we're just kind of seeing who solidifies themselves as a player on this team. So our lineup against righties. Ibert Sanchez is going to be leading things off. Ebert, however you would say his name, big-time eye. We're hoping that he's a Dylan O'Reilly type hitter at the top of our lineup here, playing third base for us. And then we have Kane Kepley in left field, another Dylan O'Reilly type bat, big-time avoid K, and I with some good base running and bunting as well. Good defender in left field. And then we have Jose Saiz at first base. Good eye, gap power, good contact. Still could develop quite a bit as well. He's almost 23 years old. Really just a first baseman, but, he's going to play there for us. And then we have Marcos de la Cruz as, probably the second most powerful guy in the lineup with 45 power. Avoid Ks, BABIP. He's an all-around hitter. Good speed, good bunting, really good defender. Might not be an elite center fielder, but, should be able to at least hold his own. And if not, like I said, we can move him out the position to go into a corner. And then we move things on to Dusty Sutton. At the shortstop position, good contact, good gap power, 80 grade speed, really good, or not really good, but he should be able to hold his own at the shortstop position, so he's going to keep playing there. High leader as well, love to see it. And then we have at DH, Steve Woods. This is the guy we were talking about, big time gap and power, elite base runner as well. And he's actually going to be DHing every second game. So DH is going to be him and Gomez swapping every other game, It's Woods, Gomez, Woods, Gomez, Woods, Gomez. So they're both going to get a decent amount of time. As Gomez, we want to get his bat in the lineup. And we just have it listed to where Woods is the starter against righties, and then Gomez is the starter against lefties. Moving things on to the 7-hole, it's Poto Fittipaldi. He is our catcher, 65 framing, 65 arm. Good enough. Sowers is the backup with 70 framing. But we do have a guy who we want to actually be our backup. He is just currently on the IL in Neil Jones. We signed him in the offseason. He's a really fast catcher. He's a captain, 60 framing, 60 blocking, and 65 arm. And he's a switch hitter. So he's going to be the backup catcher when he comes back from his injury, and Sowers will go down to AAA. But for now, the catching tandem is what it is. Then moving things on to the 8 spot, Joe Stockdale in right field. Really good, really good defender in the corners. 65 range, 65 arm, elite back-to-ball skills, average gap power, average speed as well. We're giving him a chance in right field. And then every third day, Josh Schwickrath is going to be playing right field for him. Another elite speed guy, good outfielder in the corners at the very least. Gap power, bat the ball. Could be an interesting player. So him and Joe Stockdale are going to be sharing time in right field just to get Schwickrath in the lineup a bit more. And then in the third base spot, we have Pablo Carrizales, who could potentially end up being one of our better players. Only 22, almost 23. This BABIP could fill in. He's got some average eye with some 40 grade power. Never going to hit a ton of doubles, but he should be able to put the ball in play, get on base, and play a good third base for us, as well as potentially all around the infield defensively. And then against left field, it's a little bit different. Some guys move in and out. Like I said, Gomez is now listed as the starter, but it's still every second day with Steve Woods. And then Dusty Sutton is still at shortstop. Basically, everybody stays the same except for Brewington, who is going to be our second baseman against lefties. So him and Sanchez are just in a full-time platoon, as Brewington is our backup, or he's the starter against lefties, and then Sanchez is the starter against righties. Elite bunting, good speed, all-around decent-ish bats, should be able to play a good infield and even a good left field for us. Dominated, I shouldn't say dominate, but had a really good AA season last year. Dominated A-ball the year before that, or 2 years before that. And then here in AA in 2036, had a good year with Harrisburg. We picked him up, and he is now a member of the Salt Lake Gulls. And like I mentioned earlier in the offseason, our goal for this team is we are trying to make a very aggressive, speed, bat-to-ball team successful. We're going to be doing a lot of stolen bases. We're going to be aggressive on the base paths. We're going to be using hit and runs. We're going to be sack bunting. We're going to be squeeze bunting. We're going to be bunting for hits. And we are going to be doing all sorts of station-to-station baseball, using our speed, using our bat-to-ball skills, and that's going to be the identity of the Salt Lake Gulls. Obviously, as this team gets better throughout the years, we may kind of ease off of that as just a full, all-out stolen bases and everything, but for the most part, we want to keep this identity. We want to be a team that plays like this. We just may mix in a few more swing and miss power bats just for the sake of having an offense that's a bit more functional. And then the pitching and defense strategy doesn't matter too much because for all my pitchers, as I always do, I like to go into their individual strategy, lock their strategy, override the team strategy settings, and make sure they're all on my customized plan so they do what I want them to do. I should also talk about our IFA class because we managed to sign a lot of guys for very cheap in the IFA season, and all of these guys pretty much aren't very well scouted, but you know, we did what we could do, just getting bodies in the system here. So just a quick run through of these guys. There's Jose Campos, could be something, low accuracy, who knows. Picked him up for $1.58 million out of Colombia. And then there was Alex Flamenco out of Cuba, 16 years old, picked him up for $1.24 million. And then there was Jordan Salas, who is a 16-year-old Argentine right-handed pitcher, picked him up for $750,000. Move things on to a catcher in Angel Alvarado, a Dominican, 16 years old, almost 17, for $200,000 flat. And then there was Felipe Canella, Dominican outfielder, could be decent, 17 years old, for $1 million flat. And then there was Victor Carmona, Cuban left-hander, for $190,000. Then we move things on to Rodolfo Cervantes, Dominican infielder, decent bat-to-ball skills, 18 years old, bit of an overager for this point, but $240,000. Or wait, Cervantes might have been... Never mind, this guy's not an IFA. I confused him because he's 18, but he is not an IFA. Ignore Cervantes. We move things on to Willie Espinoza, who is an international free agent signing, and we have such a weak system that he's actually an A-ball for us, so whatever. But we picked him up for $700,000 out of Venezuela. And then we move things on to Carlos Mendez, picked him up out of the Dominican Republic for $850,000. Then there was Ricky Pacheco, left-handed pitcher out of Cuba, $240,000. Then we move things on to a Cuban shortstop with good speed, 60 range. Who knows if he's good or not, almost 17 years old, $250,000. And then two catchers, a Mexican with 60 framing and 60 arm for $210,000. And then a Frenchman in Thierry Ferret, something like that. 17 years old out of France for $220,000. And that's actually an interesting connection because I did not mention this previously, but our assistant GM is French. I just thought it was interesting that he was literally from France, so I was like, why not? Let's hire this guy. And then taking a look at the preseason predictions here for the first year of realignment and expansion in 2037, your American League East Division is the Toronto Blue Jays, projected to finish top of it with the Orioles behind them, Red Sox, and then Yankees. While over in the North Division, you have the White Sox running away with it, with the Tigers, Guardians, and Twins distantly behind them. Over in the West, you have the Angels, Mariners, both the top of it, decent teams projected. And then you have us actually projected to be better than the Las Vegas Athletics in third place over them. And then in the Central Division, you have the Astros, the Royals, the Rangers, and Rockies all projected to have over 80 wins, with the Astros and Royals with 90. Are any of our bats on this list? Probably not. Nope. Any of our pitchers? Nope. Even when we're good, we never get respect. And then over on the National League side of thing, our former team, the Nationals, in the East Division, projected to win 105 games. Really, really good team, obviously, coming off 4 straight World Series, with the Pirates behind them, and then the Mets and the Phillies. While over in the North Division, it is the Cardinals, Reds, Cubs, and Brewers, with the Cardinals and the Reds being the top 2 teams. And then over in the West, you have the Giants and Padres, projected to be pretty good, with the Dodgers and the D-backs projected to be pretty bad. And then in the South Division, you have a pretty stinky division with the Rays, the Braves, the Marlins, and the Stars, the other new expansion team. Any former Washington Nationals or current Nationals, you have Luke Corsia, projected to be one of the better bats in the National League. And then you have one of the best pitchers in Dax Hardcastle on this list as well. Finally giving these guys actual respect now that we aren't on the team. And then just to show it real quick, we are currently the number 28 minor league system out of 32 major league teams. Hopefully that goes up as we build our team up from the ground up, literally from the ground up as a new expansion team. And then we did do a bit more editing to our jerseys and a couple other jerseys around the league. So we have these homes, then we have the aways. We have an away alternate, which are only worn on Tuesday and Thursday, because I was like, oh, what were the gray ones in the boring days of the week? And then on Sundays and Fridays, we will be wearing this all-orange top. And then for our Tucson AAA team, this is our AAA affiliate. I didn't bother with making a font for them because we're never going to see their team actually in-game or the back of the jerseys, so it doesn't really matter. It's literally just for the thumbnail with the jerseys and the hats for players that are down there. Then over here in AA, we've got the Mississippi Mud Monsters. This is a real-life, I think they're an indie ball team. They might be a summer ball team. I'm not really sure, but this is a real-life logo that is in the game. It just auto-loaded right in, but I did make them jerseys, and I think they're pretty neat-looking. As far as our High A affiliate, it already has jerseys that just auto-load straight into the game as the Boise Hawks and High A. And then over in Low A, it's the Modesto Nuts, another team that just has jerseys that loads straight into the game. And then I did end up editing the Nashville Stars jerseys. We gave them a bit more color rather than just only being black and white. They are now black with some gold, like Vanderbilt style. The Nashville Stars across the chest gave them a better font that actually worked in the jersey here. So those are their homes, their aways. Bit of a cream thing going on with the away uni. And then they also are going to have this alternate here, which actually I forgot to take away. They're not going to have that. Never mind. That was what the other set I was doing. So they just have home and away. And then just to show everyone, their AAA team, even though they're in the PCL, I wanted to make it the Hagerstown Suns because, I don't know, I was growing up going to Blue Claws games. The Hagerstown Suns were in the same league as them, so I would see them play Hagerstown quite a few times throughout my life. And, I just figured why not make it Hagerstown? It's close enough. Maryland, close enough to Nashville. Even though it's a PCL team, who cares? This isn't real life. We don't have to worry about actual real-life travel stuff. And the jerseys, everything just auto-loads straight into the game for them. And then down in AA, you have the Lexington Legends in the Southern League. That is another one that just had it automatically load straight into the game for them. The Sioux City Explorers are their high A team. The logo automatically loaded in, but the jerseys did not, so I had to make them a jersey set. Whatever, just simple, something to go with the color scheme. Once again, did not do the font for any of the minor league teams because it's just pointless for the minors. And then in low A ball, they have the High Desert Mavericks, who their jerseys did load into the game. Obviously, the pants are a different color, but, who cares? It's going to show up in the game as just the hat and the jersey as all you'll ever see for them. And then as far as the Milwaukee Brewers AAA team, which used to be the Nashville Sounds, now we made it a team that's in Wisconsin. This is a summer college, like a collegiate summer league team in the Frontier League, I want to say, the Fond du Lac Dock Spiders. I just thought it was interesting. I thought they had a cool name. They're in Wisconsin. We keep it similar, close to the Brewers, so it's an easy call-up. Makes sense. And, decent jerseys. That is the new AAA affiliate for Milwaukee. And then, as we know, the real-life affiliate for the Los Angeles Angels in AAA is the Salt Lake Bees. It is now the Fullerton Titans. Yes, that is a college team, the Cal State Fullerton Titans. I just figured, hey, it's right by Anaheim. Might as well give them the Fullerton Titans. They have a cool elephant secondary logo. Why not? But that's pretty much everything we need to go over here as our Salt Lake Gulls are ready to start their 2037 campaign, the first one in franchise history. We have some decent rankings on here. Our third baseman, our center fielder, both projected to be not the worst in the league. And then our bullpen, I think they're sleeping on our bullpen, honestly. I think our bullpen could be pretty decent, especially with the settings that I use for our guys and a good defense behind them. I think they might be able to surprise some folks, but I don't think our pitching overall and the team overall is going to be very good. But we'll see how they perform as we go into the first year of existence.